Hey YouTube, coming at you with a sort of beyond that hype with Pangoro. So it's the first time I'm using Pangoro. The one I had when I was walking is actually an Ultra League one. I do not have a Great League one apparently, but that's okay. We'll look at the Ultra League one. Just to like, so I ran ABB style team, weak to fighting. Lickilicky draws out the fighter, drifblim deals with it, Pangoro in the back. First thoughts on this thing. I thought it would have a lot of play. And it sort of does. I thought like with Giratinas and everything, like it would have a lot of play. I was a little disappointed overall with how it played. The close combat is nice. The Night Slashes don't threaten too much. It's half a bait move, half a coverage move. I was gonna do another half, but that's not her 50%. But so it's like half bait, half coverage, and then like hopefully a boost type move. Close combat's nice. Karate Chop, I know. It's interesting because I know it's one of the best fast moves in the game, but I think the problem with it is because everything is so bulky in the Ultra League, the Karate Chop Night Slash combo doesn't seem like it does enough overall. But close combat is so quick to get to that you don't need to rely on Night Slash too much. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Let's look at the battles and then we'll see how he plays out here. So I'm getting some Muck. Muck is half dark, so Ghost is resisted, but I'm just going to get off the Icy Wind. They are doing poison moves, and poison is resisted by Ghost. So get the Icy Wind off, lower their attack, and then catch on the lickilicky. So catch the Dark Pulse, not taking the super effective on the Drifblim. Out comes the Poliwrath, so there's the fighter. There's one fighter I drew out. That's good. Get the Shadow Ball off. Can't even get the Excellent because this game just lagged and stuttered on me. So I'm going to talk about that. Like how everyone knows it's annoying, but they don't actually know how it's annoying and how annoying it is until I actually looked at a video recently talking about undercharging and how much bubbles do. So stay tuned towards the mid/end of this video, and I'll talk about the effect the lag has on like your output. But anyways, get back on the drift mode. I did want to shield up an Icy Wind. They make a catch on a Muck, so nice catch. Shadow Ball is resisted, so that's unfortunate. Here we go. So coming here, Night Slash is resisted, but they are in the red, so I'm hoping that this is enough, even though it is resisted. And they shield, so we take that. I shield up an Acid Spray. I'm surprised I shielded because I would assume Dark Pulse Acid Spray. I don't know why, especially with the Poison Jab or whatever they're running here. I would have assumed that. I don't know why I shielded. So that's kind of a weird shield. Second Acid Spray. So good news is they try to snipe with Poliwrath, but I'm already out of close combat. Right? This thing charges pretty fast. So close combat, that'll take out. I'm going to instantly reset because I do not want to be taken down here. Hex down. And what is in the back? A Typhlosion with Shadow Claw. So now it's, will this Thunder Punch take me out, or can I get to a Shadow Ball before they claw me down? And the answer is no. But Claw is resisted, so I get to the close combat, and close combat on a stab Pokemon hurts, and that one-shots the rest of the Typhlosion. No shadow needed. So Steelix, again, you eventually need to get out, but it's not like Lickilicky has a good matchup here against Steelix, so I'm definitely going to try and chip as much as I can here with the Drifblim before I get into there. So there we go, chip it enough. They're going to hit me with the Psychic Fangs or something. That's fine. Lickilicky's main role on this team is just to draw out. I don't even really care how much damage it takes. Right? We're here to look at Pangoro. We're here to see how it works. Plus kind of a bonus Drifblim. They get 3 extra moves because my game did not allow me to throw any rollouts. So they got like 3 turns worth of energy on a 3-turn move. So that is BS. Okay, let's go. Body Slam will take out from this range, and they just let it go. They eventually get into a Dragonite. I was about to say, because if they're not getting out, I mean, Steelix has a good matchup because they resist the rollout, so it makes sense that they don't need to get out right away. I don't want to get farmed down on the Lickilicky, so I'm coming straight Drifblim. I will shield because I want to try to lower their attack with the Icy Wind, and I can mirror shields to the 1. And they come Golisopod. And Golisopod is tricky because Golisopod is super effective with the claws. Do get a Shadow Ball off and the Astonish. Aerial Ace. Liquidation maybe takes me out. Aerial Ace would not. Let's see what they throw. Aerial Ace, that's not going to take me out. They get a couple more farm here. So I'll come lickilicky and force them to throw this energy because Shadow Claw's resisted, so they have to throw. I basically want them to throw and take me out, and then I want to come in Pangoro and just counter down or karate chop down. So now it is a race to the moves. So I get if there's one Night Slash. Is this Dragonite Shadow or non-Shadow? It is non-Shadow, and it did about, I don't know, what was that, 35-40%. So it's not insignificant damage, right? And you get to it pretty quickly, right? So now I'm at back-to-back Night Slash here because Karate Chop only takes 4 to get to a Night Slash. So it's very spammy. And Dragonite is, again, Dragonite's kind of a weird one to test it on. Be like, oh, look, 40%, that's not bad. It's like, well, it's a Dragonite. So Dragonite is already more glassy. Let's see this on something that's actually bulky. Last time I checked, the Lantern was nerfed, but apparently not enough for people not to run it in the Ultra League. So Drifblim, terrible lead into lickilicky. I'll get hit with a Surf or a Thunderbolt. Again, I'll be surprised if I shield. Take that move. Out comes a Trevenant, which is a decision when the claws are resisted. And I have a Shadow Ball. So, claws are double resisted on normal typing. I have a Shadow Ball. They at best can hit me with Seed Bomb, which will add up because Seed Bomb has been boosted for the... Did I get the boosted for the second time? It got boosted at least once. It got nerfed, which Trevenant was meta. And then I got nerfed Seed Bomb, and then they buffed Seed Bomb. And I think they buffed it again. I keep forgetting all the timelines of these things. But get off a second move, and they catch on a Lantern, kind of realizing, oh yeah, lickilicky, maybe not the best matchup to go into. So I'm going to go in Pangoro because lickilicky's almost done. Drifblim would take super effective. And this is where it's like tricky because I'm going to take one move, just see how much it does. Does a lot. I can't throw Night Slash here. Night Slash isn't going to take out. And I just have to go close combat. But close combat also like lowers your defense times 2. Yeah, harshly fell. So times 3. So now Trevenant comes back in. So I'm just throwing the Night Slash because that is super effective. Still super effective, but not enough to take out. And then Charizard comes in. Get off this Night Slash again. And again, Charizard's glassy and it still does like 35%. Right? So Night Slash is not going to threaten a lot of Pokemon. Close combat will threaten a lot of Pokemon. So again, a lot of the time, if I can just like overfarm and threaten a close combat, that's a pretty good situation to be in when you're running this. And I'll get an easy Hex down here. Primarina. I think some of those were underpowered up, like not powered up all the way. So go for the bait here, thinking they're a Charmer, they're gonna have energy, they're gonna have shield for sure, and then they don't shield. Never bait. And I'm almost still making the flaw of like now my Ghost is going down. If they have a fighter in the back, I'm screwed. So I baited, lost the bait. Ampharos comes in, gets a Volt Switch off, which is going to hurt. So now I'll go into lickilicky. I did grab a shield, so that's nice. And I lowered their attack, so it's a nice combo there. But if they have a fighter, I remember one of these I misplayed and they did have a fighter in the back, and it may be this one. I remember when I stayed in with the lead too long and then they had a fighter in the back. I'm like, yeah, that's why you get out of those matchups. If you're going to play an ABB, you need to draw out the fighter. So get that Shadow Ball off, and out comes another Shadow Ball. This will take out if they let it go. And no, Skeleturge in the back. So have the Shadow Ball, which is nice. Drifblim's low. I do have Pangoro. Right. So I have Pangoro. I just go down with the Shadow Ball, which is unfortunate. So I come in here thinking like if I can get to a move, I can do that. That's fine. Force their energy. And I thought I can definitely just get to Night Slashes and take this out with a shield advantage. However, they're loaded and they have Disarming Voice. And Disarming Voice does double super effective because I am a dark fighter. And unfortunately, a super effective Night Slash from an attack heavy Pokemon still leaves Skeleturge with 1 HP. So again, like I get everything super tanky here. I get Skeledirge is already kind of like a middle Pokemon in terms of bulk. It's kind of rough there to like throw a super effective Night Slash when it was like less than 50% and have it live. And I get Night Slash is not a hard hitting move, but yeah, it really hurts when you do in that situation there. How long has it been? It's been 9 minutes out of a 19-minute battle. We'll talk about, maybe in a few more battles, we'll talk about why it's not just frustration out of it's not just the frustration of the leg, and then yes, it's costing you gains because you're missing turns and stuff, but the not being able to throw excellent, I didn't understand truly how much it, like I had an idea of how much it did, and then I watched a video on it for Undercharging and from PvP Steve, and he did a really good job at like just giving the baseline. I guess I'm talking about it now, so let's just talk about it. Okay, so Undercharging has always been a interesting mechanic. A lot of it is based on feel for me. I didn't know what works, what didn't work. My opponent made I'm going to come and shield this Thunder Punch because, sorry, I'm just going to get back to battles because this is always a lesson I give. Do not leave one Pokemon alive when you know your opponent has something that can lower your attack or defense. I have a Drifblim. They only have one Pokemon left. I hit them with the Icy Wind, lower their attack, and now they're in trouble because their attack is lowered. So even with the Pangoro, which has resisted Karate Chops, it's not like their moves are going to do anything here. Okay, back to our regular scheduled sidebar here. Okay. Undercharging, I never really knew the ins and outs of it. I just kind of went based on like, oh, I'll undercharge like 1 or 2 bubbles. That makes sense. PvP Steve put out a video where he also referenced another person, I forget their name, who did the actual math on it. So the easy breakdown is if you have a move that does X amount of damage, if you do no bubbles, it does 25% of the total damage it could do. If you get to good or nice, if you get to nice, it does 50%. If you get to great, it does 75%. And if you get the excellent, it does 100%. So that's just the sort of base, not the simple version of the math, right? So if your Shadow Ball does 100 damage, and you only get to a great, it's only doing 75% damage. So someone actually did the analysis, and it's different for every typing, apparently. But the rough estimate is that each bubble approximately does 2.5. Some do less than 2.5. Some do more than 2.5. Some, like the highest end was like 3 per bubble. The lower end was like 1.8 per bubble. Middle, most of them had like 2.5-ish per bubble. So when 4 bubbles don't come up and you can only get this great at best you can get 90%, and that's if you hit every other single bubble without the issues causing it that you're causing, right? So like it's frustrating to not be able to like throw a move when you want to throw a move. It's frustrating to just like spin. It's annoying when you desynced, but like when you can't even get to the full amount to do that full damage, that would cost you potentially, like depending on how hard hitting the move is. If it's a light hitting move like 60 and you're losing like 10% and you're losing like 6 HP, okay. But if you're throwing like a Shadow Ball or a Close Combat or something and you're losing like 20-ish plus HP that you're of damage on your opponent, like that really adds up. So the frustration there is also like on top of like not being able to maybe like catch when you want to, not be able to like throw when you want to and stuff like that. It's just not being able to actually get to the full excellent costs you a bunch of HP on your opponent in the long run too. So whole bunch of mechanic issues of the game here. Staying in here because I have Icy Wind, but again, I am leaving myself very vulnerable in the back here. Basically, what I was just worried about is I was worried about switching in to like Lickilicky, and then the Pidgeot feather dances me, and then my attack is lower ×2, and then I get like locked in a matchup with a 2 times lowered attack. So I didn't want to do that. So I lowered their attack ×2 or 3 with Icy Wind here, grabbed a shield. They did go Brave Bird, but because their attack was so much lower than Lickilicky, so bulky, did not do much. Gonna just stay in here, and then we'll try and run with Pangoro in the back, I'm guessing. Maybe, just gonna go straight here. Maybe trying to boost early here. Yeah, just going Night Slash. Again, Night Slash is not going to take out from this range at all. They do shield, do not get the boost. But with Karate Chop, it is a nice move to have. Pangoro is a bit glassy though, so you do need to shield pretty often. They're in the red. I'm assuming this will take out from the red here. And it does. And what's in the back for Alligator? So, I'm not throwing yet. I got to shield the Hydro because it definitely will take me out. I don't want to throw just yet. But I do want to get to a close combat. I'm going to get to 2 close combats just in case it does not take out. So close combat, it's a non-shadow for Alligator. It's already done like 10+%, and it still lives with like 10-ish%. So close combat does like 80% or 75-80% to a non-shadow for Alligator, which is not bad. It's not bad, but it's not as much as I thought it would. I thought it would basically one-shot close combat because you get stab on it and you're so attack heavy. But I get that this is the Ultra League. Like in the Great League, it probably would one-shot, but this is the Ultra League, so it makes sense that it is not one-shotting. So just keep that in mind. Like I think that's a big difference between Pangoro in the Great League and Ultra League. And let me just check the rankings for both. I think it's probably pretty high in both. My guess is that it may be higher in the Great League given its move set. So let me just check to see the rankings. In the Great League, it is ranked. Ooh, it is dropped. Did all the fighters drop here? 12. Yeah, it's dropped to 12 in the Great League. And in the Ultra League, it's probably going to be ranked higher. 5. 5 in the Great League. Interesting. I'm actually surprised it's that high in the Great League. I think the reason it's ranked lower is because of your rating on the PvPoke website is based on, it's weighted. It does analysis based on the entire like Great League meta, but it is weighted more towards those in the meta. So when the meta is number 1, Clodsire, Poison. 2, Mandibuzz, Flyer. 3, for Alligator, just hits hard. 6, Jumpluff, Flyer. 7, Diggersby, you do well against. Malamar with Psywave's actually resisted, but with Superpower, it's a close matchup there. 9, Azumarill. When you have so many of the top 10 Pokemon on this list beating you, that's why you get a lower ranking. Whereas opposed to the Ultra League, where you have a couple of the same ones, like Malamar for Alligator, you got a Clefable, which is bad, but then you also have Cobalion, which you would do, Lickilicky, which you would do great against, Cobalion, which you do neutral against, Regirock, Registeel, which you do great against, Giratina, which you do great against, right? So now you're starting to see Machamp, which you do bad against, but like now you're starting to see a lot more of the Pokemon in the meta that you do great against. So that's why Pangoro gets a bump in the Ultra League as opposed to the Great League. That being said, I think Pangoro is probably strong in the Great League because of Night Slash's and close combat's ability to actually do damage in the Great League, right? We saw in the Ultra League here that Night Slash does about 30-35% on a lot of Pokemon, which is kind of useless if you need to throw 2+. For sure, in the Great League, your Night Slash is probably doing like 40-45, and the Karate Chops are going to take the rest, that you can probably just take them out in 2. And I imagine like that close combat against for Alligator where it did not one-shot, it's going to one-shot in the Great League, right? So you're going to have a lot more damage output based on just like the more glassiness of Pokemon in the Great League compared to the Ultra League, because everything is just so much bulkier and more HP and stuff. So I think close combat and stuff was going to start one-shotting stuff in the Great League. So I like personally, I think Pangoro may have more play in the. Let me. Not that I have more play in the Great League. I think based on its moveset, it should be better in the Great League, but because of the meta, it is going to be higher ranked and better in the Ultra League, if that makes sense. And this last matchup will finish out the battles. So that is Pangoro. Yeah, like I said, because of the meta, I think it's worth, and the nerfs to all the other fighters, I think it's definitely got a spot in the Ultra League meta. It's ranked like 5th, and yes, it takes care of Giratina and a couple things. Others, there are still a bunch of, like there's Machamp, and there's also those double kick users. Like you'll do super effective against Cobalion as well, but they'll hit super effective against you, and then there's Virizion who hits super effective against you, and then there's some fairies too. So it's not like it's going to go unchecked, obviously, in the Ultra League, but yeah, I think it's if you got one to build up, definitely do it. Also the Necrozma, the Night one, put on that move that brings out Pokemon from Night. There's like 2 Pokemon that I caught a lot of, Rattata, and what was the other dark that popped up a few times? Maybe a Zigzagoon were the ones that popped up for the dark. So if you want to catch some dark Pokemon, I probably had to put it on for about an hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes. They spawn pretty frequently. You do not need to move, which is actually quite a bonus. Like I was playing just on my couch, and they were spawning like every 20 to 30 seconds. So it was a pretty frequent spawn. There are a bunch of other Pokemon, like there's Glygars, Clefairies, Munims, I think, or whatever that like floating thing is there. So there's other Pokemon there that is spawn as well, but the spawns for the darks were not bad. So if you need to evolve a Pangoro, that's probably your best way to do it. Anyways, that is it. Hope you had a good community day. Maybe I'll do Clefairy, or no, I'm not. No, I was gonna say maybe I'll do Rapidash in the Ultra League. Maybe, I don't know. The problem is by the time I get the Pokemon and get the move and do the battles and upload it, potentially for Sunday, 6 other content creators are already going to cover it. So unless I do a Beyond the Hype style to get people in, everyone else is going to cover it by now. So debating whether I want to do that or not. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.